our Master of Ceremonies, our Deputy Governor and Chair of our Planning Committee. This order of precedence and salutations have been given, but indulge me for a moment to recognize heads of state who have joined us online, heads of government, Honorable Philip J. Pear, Prime Minister of St. Lucia and Chairman of the Monetary Council, Honorable Dr. Terence M. Drew, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis and Council Member, as well as our sole signatory, the Right Excellent and Right Honorable Dr. Sir Kennedy Simmons, and everyone else who is joining us this evening. I gather that Premier Farrell, Council Member for Montserrat, Premier Webster, Council Member for Anguilla have joined. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, Grenada, has joined, and I want to recognize those council members individually. Citizens, residents, and friends of our currency union, ECCB family, greetings and good evening. On this glorious evening, we launch our year-long celebrations for our 40th anniversary. Let this be a year of joyous celebration of our many successes en route to this milestone. Let this year be a year of reflection on the difficult road we've traveled together. And let this year be a year of vision and imagination as we set our sights on the next decade and beyond. However, let these celebrations begin with a pause for the cause of acknowledging Almighty God, for it is in Him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17:28. Let us shout, Ebenezer, for hitherto has the Lord helped us. And somebody could give God some praise in the house this evening. "40 years on, our foreign reserves have grown from under $150 million to over $5 billion. Bank deposits have been risen from EC 1 billion to over 24 billion. Our staff complement has increased from the initial 55 in 1983 to 272 at this time. And we have representation from every single member country. This evening, I confirm that our EC dollar remains strong with a current backing of 91% in foreign reserves. Our celebration of this milestone is especially gratifying because the past 40 years have been anything but smooth sailing. We have endured external economic shocks, hurricanes, volcanoes, recessions, and most recently a pandemic. But here we are, still standing. And lest we forget, our fair eyes were not given much hope or help. Hence our argument for reparatory justice to survive. After the demise of the British Caribbean Currency Board, the territories in the Eastern Caribbean pitched tent with Barbados and formed the Eastern Caribbean Currency Authority in 1965. However, when Barbados attained independence in 1966 and subsequently established its central bank in 1972, we were on our own. Sir Arthur Lewis's article style, The Agony of the Eight, paints a vivid picture of the constitutional crisis and psychological pain of that moment. It is said, in challenge, there is opportunity. So what did we do? Fighting for survival, we came together and eventually formed the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, in 1981, and the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank in 1983. The rest is history. Look at us now. The ECCU is one of the strongest monetary unions in the world. Over this 40-year adventure, the ECCB has entertained and educated visitors from the European Union, the Bank of Central African States, and the Gulf Council, which includes Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and the UAE, all of which have sought ECCB's counsel on the making and sustaining of a successful monetary union. What vital lessons might we take from this rich historical record? First, as small states, we always give ourselves a fighting chance when we come together for common cause and take collective action. For when we do, we are an irrepressible force of ingenuity, resilience, and public good. Indeed, we are well capable of crafting arrangements that work for us. Second, we are a model for the rest of the world and possess a record of which we can be justifiably proud. Over the past 5 years, the ECCB has received 5 global awards in recognition of our initiatives and innovations as we continue to build on the rich legacy of our framers and founders. At this juncture, I wish to pay homage to the pioneers and first leaders, including Sir Cecil Jacobs, our first governor, who served for 6 years, the National of St. Kitts and Nevis. Sir K. Dwight Venner, our second and longest serving governor, who served for 26 years. Sir Errol Allen, a National of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, our first deputy governor, who served for 22 years. And Mr. Trevor Brathwaite, our second deputy governor, National of St. Lucia, who served for 15 years. Of course, it must be recalled that both Sir Cecil and Sir Errol were leaders in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Authority and were key architects in the transition from ECA to a full-fledged central bank. I wish to also pay tribute to past and current members of the Monetary Council and past and current members of our board. As I survey our auditorium and our country offices this evening, I see many retirees, young people called retirees, I might add, all of whom have helped to make our central bank what it is today. And we stand on your shoulders, and we thank you for your service to this bank and to this region. I also see many of my current colleagues in the room, and I thank you for your service to our country, our region at this time. Put your hands together for all of our ECCB team. I also place on record appreciation of our development partners, especially the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Now, amidst all these celebrations, we must undertake honest and sober assessment, reflections. Indeed, the truth must always be our friend. Listen to this. Per capita income is a commonly used, albeit flawed, measure of living standards. Its attractiveness is in its ease of comparability. As an economist and development practitioner, I readily concede it does not speak to the social condition of our people, of which there are significant concerns in respect of mindsets, skill sets, health and education outcomes, and social pathologies such as crime. But check this out. In 1983, per capita income in the United States was approximately $30,000 US. In comparison, per capita income in the ECCU was about US $3,600. $30,000, $3,600. That is 12% of US per capita income. That is a simple measure of the wealth gap between the ECCU and the United States, our major trading partner, and to which our dollar is pegged. Fast forward 40 years on, what do we have? Per capita income in the United States is now $60,000 US. Per capita income in the ECCU is just about $9,000 US, or about 15% of US per capita income. Folks, where am I going with this? Notwithstanding all of our achievements, the fact that per capita income has only grown by about 2.5% over 40 years, and that we have not converged more quickly with the United States, our major trading partner, is a disappointing outcome. It's a disappointing outcome. Of course, the performance is reflective of many exogenous shocks our region has endured, as well as some of our policy choices. The key takeaway then is that we must revamp our development strategy to relentlessly pursue resilience and transformation. Indeed, this shift is essential if we are to minimize the yo-yo syndrome and the risk of lost decades, such as have befallen our region in recent times. In a world pregnant with volatility and uncertainty, we can be certain of one thing: the shocks will keep coming, foremost of which is the climate crisis. The volatility of which I alluded is easily seen in the growth performance of the ECCU over the last 4 decades. 1983 to 1992, 6% growth average. 1983 to 2002, 1993 to 2002, 2.5% average. 2003 to 2012, 2.3% average. 2013 to 2021, 1.7% average. I think we can all see a trend, a downward trend in growth. And of course, 2020 was an exceptionally difficult year when the ECCU contracted by almost 17%. So tonight, before I conclude, I issue a call for collective action. I issue a clarion call for a strong decade of resilience and transformation. Call it a big push. And what might that look like? Here are 4 examples. 1, wealth creation. At present, only 1 in 25 persons, or 4% of our people, are invested in the Eastern Caribbean securities market. 4%. You contrast that with the United States, 3 in 5, almost 60% of the citizens are invested in the US stock market. The stock market is a perennial source of wealth creation in the United States. In this next decade, we must strive to have at least 1 in 5, 20% of our people, invested in both the regional and international capital markets. And let me be clear this evening, I am not talking about investing in cryptos and cryptocurrencies. Food and nutrition security. Our region imports almost 80% of all the food we consume. Meantime, almost 8 in 10 deaths can be attributed to non-communicable diseases, NCDs, diabetes, hypertension, and so on. As a critical first step, let us meet the CARICOM target of reducing our food import bill by 25% by 2025. Energy security, that's the third. About 90% of our energy needs are powered by fossil fuels, which means only about 10% of our energy needs are powered by renewables. As a consequence, we pay some of the highest electricity rates in the world, and we are vulnerable to the global oil market. Let us resolve, therefore, to change that by at least tripling renewables in the ECCU over the next decade. And I hope the example of a little central bank will inspire all of us. Do you know that most of our electricity needs are generated here on this campus by solar PV? And do you not know we are currently installing our battery storage, and that very soon, in a matter of weeks, 100% of our needs will be generated from solar PV. Let that example be emulated throughout our currency union. Because I've looked at oil prices recently, and they're starting to go up again as China rebounds. Finally, digital transformation. Estimates indicate that only about 60% of our people have broadband connectivity. The pandemic laid bare the gap between the connected and the unconnected. We must now accelerate our work to build out a digital economy. And that process starts with ensuring that high-speed broadband connectivity is accessible, affordable, and reliable. There are some places in this currency union that are still using copper and coaxial cable in 2023, not fiber optics. That has to change, and change fast. It also necessitates the development of a wide range of digital skills to secure the new and emerging jobs at this time. After all, the future is digital, and that future is now. Our children and our region cannot and must not be left behind. Ultimately, our challenge is to ensure that our big push helps us to double per capita income in the ECCU over the next decade. The foregoing initiatives, critical as they are, will be accompanied by what we have to continue to do at the central bank as per our mandate. Exchange rate stability, monetary stability, financial stability, payment systems modernization. And you can count on us in ECCB to do our part in that resilience and transformation decade. So here's my question. Are you ready for the big push? You are allowed to answer. Are you ready, ECCU, for the big push?
Yes, we are.
Thank you, sister. Are we all in?
Yes, we are.
Can we count on you?
Yes, you can.
Because you can count on us at ECCB. Together, let's make this happen. And I conclude. Without a doubt, the ECCB has ennobled our Caribbean civilization. And as we set our sights on our 5th decade and beyond, let us press forward with unbridled sense of imagination, determination, and collective action. Collective action. Let us be ambitious, bold, and courageous. And I conclude with my oft-repeated saying, as a region, we cannot change our history. We cannot change our geography. But collectively, we can elevate our development trajectory through innovation and collective action. And with God's help, that's exactly what we must do. Thank you. God bless you all.